Dr. Amanda Clark rubbed her tired eyes and stared at the computer screen again. She had been working for 12 hours straight at the radio telescope facility in Puerto Rico. The giant dish outside was always listening to space, catching radio waves from distant stars and galaxies. Most of the time, they heard nothing but cosmic noise. But today was different. Amanda was a radio astronomer. Her job was to look for signals from space that might come from intelligent life. For 20 years, she had been searching. Like most scientists in her field, she had never found anything real. There were false alarms and natural phenomena that looked interesting at first, but always turned out to be something ordinary. The signal she was looking at now was buried deep in the background radiation from space. It was so faint that the computer almost missed it. Most people would have ignored it completely. But Amanda had trained herself to notice patterns that others might miss. She called over her colleague, Dr. Marcus Thompson. Marcus was younger and more skeptical about finding aliens. He walked over to her workstation with a cup of coffee in his hand. "What do you have this time, Amanda?" Marcus asked with a slight smile. He had seen Amanda get excited about signals before, only to discover they were from satellites or natural cosmic events. "Look at this," Amanda pointed to the screen. "See this pattern in the background noise? It repeats every 47 minutes and 32 seconds. Marcus looked at the data. To him, it looked like random static. Could be equipment malfunction. Or maybe interference from cell phone towers. You know how many false signals we get." Amanda shook her head. "I already checked all of that. This is coming from space. From the direction of Vega." Vega was a bright star about 25 light-years away from Earth. Many scientists thought it might have planets that could support life. "Even if it is from space, it could be a pulsar or some other natural phenomenon," Marcus said. He was trying to be helpful, but Amanda could tell he did not believe this was anything special. Amanda spent the next 3 days analyzing the signal. She used every tool available to her. She checked for interference from Earth-based sources. She compared the signal to known natural phenomena. She even had the computer run thousands of tests to see if there was any pattern. What she found amazed her. The signal was not random at all. It was using a very advanced method to hide information inside what looked like natural cosmic noise. The technique was so sophisticated that only humanity's most powerful computers could detect it. Someone had deliberately designed this signal to be hidden. Amanda realized that whoever sent this message was trying very hard not to be noticed by someone else. They were hiding their communication inside normal stellar radiation. This was not just a signal to announce their presence. This was a secret message. She worked late into the night, trying to understand how the hiding technique worked. The signal used quantum principles that human scientists had only recently discovered. The senders had to be very advanced to use such methods. On the 4th day, Amanda made another discovery. The signal was not constant. It changed slightly over time. The changes followed mathematical patterns. It was like someone was sending a coded message using the hidden signal as a carrier wave. Amanda's heart raced as she realized what this meant. This was not just proof of alien intelligence. This was an alien intelligence trying to communicate in secret. They were hiding their message so well that it had taken humanity's best technology to find it. She immediately called Marcus back to her workstation. This time, her excitement was different. She was not just hopeful. She was certain. "Marcus, you need to see this. This is not a natural phenomenon. This is artificial. Someone made this signal, and they are trying to hide it." Marcus looked at the new data Amanda had compiled. His skeptical expression slowly changed to one of amazement. The mathematical patterns were too complex and too precise to be natural. The quantum hiding technique was beyond anything that could happen by accident. "My God, Amanda! If this is real..." Marcus trailed off, unable to finish his sentence. Amanda nodded. "It is real. And there is more. The signal is getting stronger. Not much, but enough to measure. Whatever is sending this signal is either getting more powerful, or it is getting closer to us." The two scientists spent the rest of the day double-checking their work. They ran every test they could think of. They brought in other colleagues to verify their findings without telling them what they suspected. Every test confirmed the same thing. The signal was artificial, it was hidden, and it was coming from the direction of Vega. As night fell, Amanda and Marcus sat in the quiet observation room. Outside, the giant radio telescope continued its patient listening to the cosmos. Inside, two human scientists stared at data that could change everything humanity thought about its place in the universe. What do we do now? Marcus asked. Amanda looked at the signal data one more time. She thought about the implications. If someone was hiding their communications, it meant they had enemies. It meant there were dangers in space that humanity did not know about. But it also meant that somewhere among the stars, there were beings intelligent enough to reach out across the void. We decode it, Amanda said simply. Whatever they are trying to tell us, we need to understand it. If they went to this much trouble to hide their message, it must be important. Marcus nodded slowly. This is going to change everything, isn't it? Amanda looked out at the stars visible through the observation room window. Somewhere out there, someone was calling for help. They had hidden their message so carefully that it took humanity 20 years of searching to find it. But now that they had found it, Amanda knew there was no turning back. Yes, she said quietly. This changes everything. The next morning, Amanda would begin the most important work of her life. She would start trying to decode a message from the stars. A message that someone had risked everything to send. A message that would soon reveal humanity was not alone in the universe, and that the cosmos was far more dangerous and wonderful than anyone had ever imagined. Amanda knew she could not decode the alien message alone. The signal was too complex and used mathematical concepts that were beyond her expertise. She needed help from specialists in different fields. The first person she contacted was Lisa Rodriguez, a cryptographer who worked for the National Security Agency. Lisa was one of the best code breakers in the world. She had spent 15 years cracking enemy communications and solving mathematical puzzles that seemed impossible. Amanda called Lisa late at night, using a secure phone line from the observatory. Lisa, I need your help with something that must stay completely secret, Amanda said. Lisa had worked with Amanda before on projects involving space communications. She trusted her colleague completely. What do you have? I cannot tell you over the phone. Can you come to Puerto Rico? Tonight if possible. Lisa heard the urgency in Amanda's voice. She had never known Amanda to exaggerate or waste time on unimportant matters. I will catch the next flight. The second person Amanda contacted was Dr. Nathan Brooks, a quantum physicist from MIT. Nathan had written several papers about quantum entanglement and information theory. If anyone could understand how the aliens were hiding their message in cosmic noise, it would be Nathan. Nathan arrived at the observatory the next evening, just a few hours after Lisa. Amanda had prepared a secure conference room where they could work without being interrupted or overheard. Before I show you what we found, you both need to sign these security agreements, Amanda said, handing them documents. What you are about to see could change human history. We cannot let this information leak out until we understand what we are dealing with. Lisa and Nathan signed the papers without hesitation. They had both worked on classified projects before and understood the importance of secrecy. Amanda turned on the computer and showed them the hidden signal. She explained how she had discovered it and demonstrated the quantum hiding technique being used. Both Lisa and Nathan stared at the data in amazement. This is incredible, Nathan said. The quantum entanglement method they are using is theoretically possible, but we only figured out how to do it in the laboratory last year. Whoever sent this signal is decades ahead of us in quantum physics. Lisa was already analyzing the mathematical patterns in the signal. The basic structure looks like a substitution cipher, but it is much more complex. They are using prime number sequences as keys, and the quantum hiding adds another layer of encryption. For the next week, the three scientists worked around the clock. They divided the signal into smaller pieces and analyzed each part separately. Amanda focused on the astronomical aspects, determining exactly where the signal was coming from and how it was being transmitted. Lisa worked on breaking the mathematical codes. Nathan studied the quantum physics principles being used. Slowly, they began to make progress. The first breakthrough came when Lisa discovered that the mathematical progression was based on the Fibonacci sequence, but modified using prime numbers in a specific pattern. Once she figured out the key, she could start translating parts of the message. The second breakthrough came when Nathan realized that the quantum entanglement was not just hiding the signal, but also compressing it. The aliens were sending much more information than it first appeared. What looked like a simple repeating pattern actually contained layers of data. On the seventh day, they decoded enough of the message to understand its basic content. What they read made them all sit in stunned silence. The message was a plea for help. The beings who sent it called themselves the Kithra. They were a peaceful species whose home planet orbited the star Vega. They had been living in hidden colonies throughout their solar system for over 50 years, trying to avoid detection by something they called the hegemony. The hegemony, according to the message, was a vast galactic empire that conquered or destroyed any intelligent species they encountered. They had already wiped out dozens of civilizations. The Kithra were the survivors of one such attack on their homeworld. The message explained that the Kithra had been broadcasting their hidden distress call for decades, hoping that someone would find it and be able to help them. They had chosen to hide their communications because the hegemony monitored all normal radio frequencies. Any species that broadcast openly was quickly located and destroyed. They have been calling for help for 50 years, Lisa said quietly. And we are the first ones to answer. Nathan was studying the technical specifications included in the message. They are asking for evacuation. They say they have about 12,000 survivors hidden on various moons and asteroids in the Vega system. But the hegemony is getting closer to finding them. Amanda felt a chill run down her spine. How close? Nathan translated more of the message. According to this, hegemony scout ships have been detected in nearby systems. The Kithra estimate they have maybe 6 months before they are discovered. The three scientists looked at each other. They had just decoded a message from aliens asking for rescue from a galactic empire that destroyed entire civilizations. The request seemed impossible. How could humanity, which had barely begun exploring its own solar system, mount a rescue mission 25 light-years away? There is more, Lisa said, continuing to decode the message. They are offering to share their technology with whoever helps them. They have detailed specifications for faster-than-light travel, advanced energy systems, and defensive weapons. Amanda realized the full implications of what they had discovered. The Kithra were not just asking for help. They were offering humanity the technology to reach the stars. But they were also warning about a galactic threat that humanity did not even know existed. We need to contact the government, Amanda said. This is beyond what the three of us can handle. Nathan nodded. But who do we contact? And how do we convince them this is real? Lisa was still working on the message. There is something else here. The Kithra are not the only species hiding from the hegemony. They mention other refugee groups scattered throughout the galaxy. If we help them, they can put us in contact with potential allies. Amanda stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the radio telescope continued its patient scanning of the heavens. She thought about the message they had just decoded. Somewhere in space, 12,000 beings were hiding in fear, hoping that someone would hear their call for help. She also thought about the hegemony. If the Kithra were telling the truth, then humanity was living in a galaxy dominated by a ruthless empire that destroyed any intelligent life it found. Earth was isolated and defenseless. The only reason humanity had survived this long was that they had not yet been noticed. We have to help them, Amanda said finally. Not just because it is the right thing to do, but because we need allies. If this hegemony finds Earth, we will need friends among the stars. Nathan and Lisa agreed. They spent the rest of the night preparing a complete report of their findings. They included all the technical data, the decoded message, and their analysis of the quantum hiding technique. By morning, they had documented proof that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that the cosmos was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. They also had proof that there were potential allies among the stars, if humanity was brave enough to reach out and help them. The next step would be convincing the world's governments to mount the most ambitious rescue mission in human history. Amanda, Lisa, and Nathan knew they needed to bring their discovery to the highest levels of government. After much discussion, they decided to contact General Patricia Hayes at Space Command. General Hayes was known for her practical approach to unusual situations and her willingness to listen to new ideas. The meeting was arranged through secure channels. General Hayes flew to Puerto Rico personally, accompanied by 2 advisors. She met the 3 scientists in the same secure conference room where they had been working. Amanda presented their findings carefully. She showed the general the original signal, explained how they had discovered the quantum hiding technique, and demonstrated their decoding process. She then read portions of the translated message from the Kithra. General Hayes listened without interruption. Her expression remained neutral throughout the presentation, but Amanda could see that she was taking everything very seriously. When Amanda finished, General Hayes was quiet for several minutes. Finally, she spoke. "What you have shown me is extraordinary. Under normal circumstances, I would need weeks of verification before I could act on information like this. But these are not normal circumstances." She paused and looked directly at each of the scientists. 3 years ago, we lost contact with several deep space probes near the edge of our solar system. The official report stated equipment failure. The classified report tells a different story. General Hayes opened a briefcase and removed a tablet computer. She showed them a series of files marked with the highest security classifications. Our most advanced probe, Deep Explorer 7, was equipped with experimental long-range sensors and quantum communication devices. Before it went silent, it transmitted some very disturbing data. The general showed them sensor readings from the probe. The data showed multiple large objects moving through space in formation, far beyond the orbit of Pluto. The objects were clearly artificial and much larger than anything humanity had ever built. We detected at least 15 ships, each one bigger than our largest aircraft carrier. They were moving in a search pattern, scanning our outer solar system. Then, suddenly, Deep Explorer 7 was destroyed. Dr. Nathan Brooks studied the data carefully. The probe was destroyed by a directed energy weapon. The signature matches theoretical models for plasma-based ship weapons. General Hayes nodded. That is our conclusion as well. Something destroyed our probe with technology we do not possess. After that, we lost 2 more probes in the same region. We stopped sending them. Amanda felt her heart racing. You think it was the hegemony? Based on what you have just told me, yes. It seems we have already had our first encounter with this galactic empire. They were conducting reconnaissance of our solar system. Lisa looked up from the files she was reading. But they did not attack Earth directly. Why? General Hayes smiled grimly. Dr. Kevin Martinez from Defense Intelligence has a theory about that. He should be arriving here within the hour. Dr. Martinez arrived exactly on time. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his career analyzing threats to national security. When he heard about the alien message, he flew to Puerto Rico immediately. The probe data matches perfectly with the Kithra message, Dr. Martinez said after reviewing their findings. The hegemony was scouting our system, but they did not find anything worth their attention. He showed them an analysis he had prepared. Look at our radio emissions from space. For the last 50 years, we have been broadcasting television, radio, and satellite communications into space. Any advanced civilization monitoring our region would know that Earth has intelligent life. Nathan nodded. So why did they not attack us? Dr. Martinez smiled. Because we look primitive to them. Our space technology is barely capable of reaching our own moon. We have no faster-than-light travel, no energy weapons, no planetary defenses. From their perspective, we are not a threat. Amanda began to understand. They probably classify us as a pre-spaceflight civilization. Not worth conquering yet. Exactly, Dr. Martinez said. The hegemony appears to focus on civilizations that have achieved interstellar travel. We are still stuck in our own solar system, so they ignore us for now. General Hayes leaned forward. But that situation will not last forever. Our space technology is advancing rapidly. Within 20 years, we will probably achieve faster-than-light travel on our own. When that happens, we will attract their attention again. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Humanity was living on borrowed time. The only reason Earth had not been conquered was that the hegemony considered humans too primitive to bother with. There is something else, Dr. Martinez continued. We have been quietly preparing for potential alien contact for the last 10 years. Most people think we are just expanding our space defense capabilities, but the real purpose is to defend against exactly this kind of threat. He showed them classified files about secret military projects. Humanity had been developing new types of spacecraft, energy weapons, and defensive systems. Most of the technology was still experimental, but some of it was ready for testing. We have one prototype ship that could potentially make the journey to Vega, General Hayes said. It uses an experimental faster-than-light drive based on theoretical physics. We were planning to test it on a mission to Alpha Centauri next year. Amanda's eyes widened. You have a ship that could reach the Kythera? Possibly. The Aurora is our most advanced vessel. It is designed for long-range exploration and has the capability to carry passengers. But it has never been tested on a mission this long or this dangerous. Lisa was studying the technical specifications of the Aurora. According to this, the ship could carry several hundred people. That is not enough to evacuate 12,000 Kythera. Dr. Martinez nodded. It would take multiple trips. And each trip would be a round journey of several months. Nathan was doing calculations in his head. The Kythera say they have maybe 6 months before the hegemony finds them. We could not evacuate everyone in time. General Hayes looked at the alien message again. Unless we can convince the Kythera to help us upgrade our ships with their technology. If they really have faster-than-light travel that is more advanced than ours, we might be able to reduce the travel time significantly. Amanda realized what the general was suggesting. You want to attempt a rescue mission. I want to present the option to the President and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This decision is too important for any one person to make alone. Dr. Martinez closed his files. There is one more thing to consider. If we attempt this rescue, we will be revealing Earth's location and capabilities to both the Kythera and potentially the hegemony. We will be announcing to the galaxy that humanity is more advanced than we appear. General Hayes stood up. That is true. But if we do nothing, the Kythera will be destroyed, and we will lose our only potential allies. When the hegemony finally notices Earth, we will face them alone. Amanda looked at her colleagues. They had started this work hoping to find proof of alien intelligence. Instead, they had discovered that humanity was caught in the middle of a galactic war between an evil empire and its victims. How long do we have to decide? Amanda asked. General Hayes checked her watch. I am briefing the President tomorrow morning. If we are going to attempt this rescue, we need to start preparing immediately. The three scientists looked at each other. In just 1 week, they had gone from discovering a hidden signal to planning the most dangerous mission in human history. They were about to recommend that humanity risk everything to save a species they had never met. But as Amanda thought about the message from the Kythera, she knew there was really no choice. Somewhere among the stars, 12,000 beings were hiding in fear, hoping someone would answer their call for help. Humanity had the opportunity to be that someone. The only question was whether they would be brave enough to try. President Elizabeth Warren sat in the Oval Office at 6 in the morning, reading the most extraordinary briefing document of her presidency. General Hayes stood nearby, along with the Secretary of Defense and the National Security Advisor. The three scientists who had decoded the alien message were connected by secure video link from Puerto Rico. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, the President said. We have received a distress call from aliens who are hiding from a galactic empire that destroys civilizations. This empire has already scouted our solar system. And you are recommending that we attempt a rescue mission 25 light-years away. General Hayes nodded. That is correct, Madam President. The situation is unprecedented, but our analysis suggests we have a narrow window of opportunity. The President looked at Amanda on the video screen. Dr. Clark, in your professional opinion, is this message genuine? Amanda had spent the last week double-checking every aspect of their discovery. Madam President, I stake my career on it. The signal uses quantum physics principles that we barely understand. The mathematical complexity is beyond anything we could fake. This message is real. The President turned to Lisa Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, you have cracked enemy codes for 15 years. Could this be some kind of elaborate deception? Lisa shook her head. No, Madam President. The encryption methods and mathematical progressions are too sophisticated. If someone wanted to deceive us, they would use simpler techniques that we could easily understand. This message was designed to be found only by a civilization with advanced quantum physics capabilities. President Warren was quiet for several minutes, considering the implications. Finally, she spoke to her advisors. What are the risks if we attempt this mission? The Secretary of Defense answered first. The immediate risk is losing our most advanced spacecraft and crew. The Aurora is irreplaceable with current technology. If the mission fails, we will have lost our best hope of defending Earth. The National Security Advisor added, there is also the risk of exposing Earth's location and capabilities. If this is a trap, or if the hegemony intercepts our ship, they will learn that humanity is more advanced than they believed. General Hayes presented the alternative. The risk of doing nothing may be greater. If the Kithara are destroyed, we lose our only potential allies. When the hegemony eventually notices Earth, we will face them with no friends and no advanced technology. President Warren stood up and walked to the window overlooking the White House lawn. Outside, normal life continued. People were going to work, children were going to school, and nobody knew that humanity's survival might depend on the decision she was about to make. I need to speak with other world leaders before making this decision, the president said. This affects all of humanity, not just the United States. Within 6 hours, President Warren had arranged emergency video conferences with the leaders of every major nation. The level of international cooperation was unprecedented. Usually, world leaders spent months debating and arguing about far less important issues. But the threat of a galactic empire focused everyone's attention. The president of China was the first to speak. This rescue mission could expose all of humanity to danger. But if these Kithara have technology that could help us defend ourselves, the risk may be worthwhile. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom agreed. We cannot stand by while an entire species is destroyed. If we have the capability to help, we have a moral obligation to try. The President of Russia was more cautious. We should verify this information independently before risking our most advanced spacecraft. How do we know this is not a trap? General Hayes answered the Russian president's concern. Sir, we have spent the last week verifying every aspect of this discovery. We have also cross-referenced the message with our probe data from 3 years ago. Everything matches perfectly. The Prime Minister of Canada raised another point. If we attempt this rescue, we need to prepare for the possibility that the hegemony will retaliate. Earth's defenses need to be ready. President Warren had already considered this. We have been quietly upgrading our space defense capabilities for the last 10 years. If this mission exposes us to the hegemony, we will be as ready as possible. After 2 hours of discussion, the world leaders reached a unanimous decision. They would authorize the rescue mission, but with careful preparations and contingency plans. Captain Ryan Foster was chosen to lead the mission. He was a former Air Force pilot who had trained on the Aurora's systems for the last 2 years. He was known for his calm judgment under pressure and his ability to make quick decisions in dangerous situations. The international crew was selected from the best personnel available. Sarah Collins, an experienced pilot from the Royal Air Force, would serve as the ship's primary navigator. Tony Vasquez, a mechanical engineer from NASA, would handle all technical systems. Claire Murphy, a diplomat from the State Department, would lead any negotiations with the Kithara. The crew also included specialists in quantum physics, alien linguistics, and emergency medicine. Every person on the mission was a volunteer who understood the risks involved. Preparations began immediately. The Aurora was loaded with supplies for a 4-month journey. Emergency shelters were installed to house Kithra refugees during the return trip. Communication equipment was upgraded to maintain contact with the Kithra's hidden frequencies. Dr. Nathan Brooks worked with the ship's engineers to optimize the faster-than-light drive. Using information from the Kithra message, they were able to improve the drive's efficiency by 15%. This would reduce travel time and increase the ship's range. Amanda, Lisa, and Nathan were offered positions on the mission crew, but they declined. Their work was needed on Earth, monitoring communications and preparing for possible contact with other refugee species. 3 days before the scheduled departure, the crew received a direct message from the Kithra. Elder Zexhai, speaking for all the survivors, expressed amazement that humans were actually coming to help them. In 50 years of hiding, no one has answered our calls, the elder said through the translated message. Most species in the galaxy believe that helping others is a weakness that leads to destruction. Your willingness to risk everything for strangers is something we have never encountered before. Captain Foster recorded a response. Elder Zexhai, humanity believes that our strength comes from helping others, not from standing alone. We do not consider compassion a weakness. We consider it our greatest asset. The message exchange continued for several hours. The Kithra provided detailed information about their hidden colonies and the best approach routes to avoid hegemony detection. They also shared technical specifications that would help the Aurora operate more efficiently in the Vega system. On the final day before departure, President Warren addressed the nation. She could not reveal the full details of the mission, but she spoke about humanity's destiny among the stars and the importance of helping others in need. Today, we take a step that will define humanity's place in the cosmos, the president said. We go not as conquerors, but as friends. We go not to take, but to give. We go because it is right, and because we believe that compassion is stronger than fear. The Aurora launched at dawn from a secret facility in Nevada. As the ship accelerated toward the edge of the solar system, its faster-than-light drive engaged smoothly. Within hours, Earth was just a distant point of light behind them. Captain Foster looked at his crew as they settled in for the long journey to Vega. Each person on board had volunteered to risk their life for people they had never met. They were traveling farther from home than any human had ever gone, on a mission that could expose Earth to terrible danger. But as Foster thought about the Kithra hiding in fear among distant moons, he knew they were doing the right thing. Humanity was about to announce itself to the galaxy not as warriors or conquerors, but as rescuers. The Aurora flew through the darkness between stars, carrying humanity's hopes and the promise that no species should face extinction alone. The Aurora traveled through space faster than any human vessel had ever gone before. The faster-than-light drive created a bubble around the ship that allowed it to move through folded spacetime. From inside the ship, the journey felt smooth and quiet, but outside, the Aurora was crossing distances that would take light years to cover. Captain Foster established a daily routine for the crew during the 3-month journey to Vega. Everyone had specific duties to keep the ship running smoothly. Sarah Collins monitored the navigation systems and made small adjustments to their course. Tony Vasquez maintained the engines and life support systems. Claire Murphy studied the Kithra language and culture, preparing for first contact. 2 weeks into the journey, they received an updated message from the Kithra. The signal was much clearer now that they were closer to Vega. Elder Zexhai's voice came through with remarkable clarity when translated by their computers. Human friends, we are amazed that you continue to approach our system. Most species would have changed their minds once they understood the danger. The hegemony has been seen in 3 nearby star systems in the last month. They are searching more aggressively than before. Captain Foster recorded a response immediately. Elder Zexhai, humans do not abandon friends in need. We are still coming. Please provide us with the latest information about hegemony movements so we can plan our approach carefully. The communication exchange that followed gave the crew their first real understanding of what they were facing. The hegemony was not just a military force. It was a vast empire that had been expanding across the galaxy for thousands of years. They had a simple policy toward other intelligent species: submit completely or be destroyed. The hegemony believes that only one species should rule the galaxy, Elder Zexhai explained. They see all other forms of life as either useful slaves or dangerous competitors. There is no middle ground with them. Sarah Collins studied the star charts that the Kithara provided. The hegemony controls over 3,000 star systems. They have been expanding in this direction for the last 500 years. Tony Vasquez was amazed by the technical information the Kithara shared. Their ships are enormous. Some of their battle cruisers are over 5 kilometers long. They carry enough firepower to destroy entire planets. But the most disturbing information came when Elder Zexai described how the hegemony operated. They do not just conquer worlds. They study each species they encounter and determine how they can be useful. Some species are enslaved for their physical strength. Others are used for their technical knowledge. Species with no useful traits are simply eliminated. Claire Murphy asked the question that everyone was thinking. Elder Zexai, what would the hegemony do with humans if they found Earth? The answer chilled everyone on the Aurora. Humans would be classified as a technical species because of your advanced mathematics and engineering. You would be enslaved and forced to build weapons and ships for the hegemony. Your world would become a factory planet. During the second month of their journey, the crew learned more about Kithara society and history. Before the hegemony attacked their homeworld, the Kithara had been part of a peaceful alliance of species. They had shared technology and knowledge with dozens of other civilizations. We called it the Harmony, Elder Zexai explained. For over 1,000 years, different species worked together to explore the galaxy and advance scientific knowledge. We had no armies because we believed that cooperation was better than conflict. The Harmony had been completely unprepared when the hegemony attacked. Their peaceful nature made them vulnerable to a ruthless enemy that used deception and overwhelming force. The hegemony destroyed the Harmony by attacking each member species separately, Elder Zexai continued. They convinced some species to betray their allies in exchange for better treatment. They divided us and conquered us one by one. Captain Foster realized that the Kithara were offering humanity a chance to avoid the same mistake. By helping us, you are trying to rebuild the alliance that was destroyed. Yes, Elder Zexai replied. But this time, we will be prepared for the hegemony's tactics. We will not be caught defenseless again. During the third month of the journey, the Aurora's sensors began detecting the outer edges of the Vega system. The star was much brighter and hotter than Earth's sun. It was surrounded by a complex system of planets, moons, and asteroid belts where the Kithara had been hiding. We are detecting multiple energy signatures throughout the system, Sarah Collins reported. The Kithara have hidden colonies on at least 15 different worlds. Elder Zexai guided them toward the largest refugee settlement, located on a moon orbiting Vega's fourth planet. This is where most of our survivors are located. We have been here for over 30 years, building underground cities to avoid detection. As they approached the moon, the crew of the Aurora got their first visual contact with Kithara technology. The moon's surface looked barren and empty, but their sensors detected massive underground structures. The Kithara had hollowed out entire mountains to create hidden cities. The hegemony scans planets for surface activity and electromagnetic emissions, Elder Zexai explained. By building underground and using shielded power systems, we have remained invisible to their sensors. Tony Vasquez was impressed by the engineering involved. They have created completely self-sufficient underground cities. Air recycling, water purification, food production, everything they need to survive. The Aurora entered orbit around the moon, and Captain Foster prepared for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with an alien species. The moment was historic, but it was also urgent. They had received another message from the Kithara just hours earlier with troubling news. Hegemony scout ships have been detected in the star system next to ours, Elder Zexai had reported. They are moving in a search pattern that will bring them to Vega within the next few weeks. We estimate that we have less than a month before they arrive. Captain Foster called a meeting with his senior staff. We need to evacuate 12,000 Kithara in less than a month. The Aurora can carry a maximum of 300 people per trip. Even with perfect efficiency, we cannot get everyone out in time. Sarah Collins had been studying the Kithara technical specifications. Unless we can use their technology to improve our ship's capacity or speed. They have mentioned more advanced faster-than-light drives that could reduce our travel time. Claire Murphy was reviewing the diplomatic protocols they had prepared. We also need to consider that not all Kithra may want to leave. Some may prefer to hide deeper or try to find other solutions. Tony Vasquez had a different concern. If the hegemony does arrive while we are here, we need to be prepared for combat. The Aurora has defensive weapons, but we are no match for a hegemony battle cruiser. Captain Foster made his decision. We will proceed with the evacuation as planned. If the hegemony arrives before we are finished, we will do whatever is necessary to protect the Kithra. We did not come this far to abandon them at the first sign of danger. As the Aurora prepared to land on the moon's surface, the crew felt the weight of history on their shoulders. They were about to make contact with an alien species and begin the most dangerous rescue mission ever attempted. But they were also taking the first step toward building a new alliance among the stars. Elder Zexai's final message before their landing was both hopeful and urgent. Human friends, you are the first species in 50 years to answer our call for help. Your arrival gives us hope that the galaxy can be freed from the hegemony's tyranny. But time is running short. We must work together quickly if we are to save our people and protect your world from the same fate that befell ours. The Aurora landed on the hidden side of the Kithra moon, away from any direction where hegemony sensors might detect them. Captain Foster and his crew put on their environmental suits and prepared for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with an alien species. The Kithra had built a concealed landing bay inside what looked like a natural crater. As the Aurora's crew walked down the ship's ramp, they saw artificial lights glowing from tunnel entrances carved into the crater walls. The engineering was remarkable. From space, the moon looked completely dead, but underground was a thriving civilization. Elder Zexai emerged from the main tunnel, accompanied by several other Kithra. The aliens were humanoid but taller than humans, with pale blue skin and large eyes adapted for low light conditions. They moved gracefully despite the moon's low gravity. Captain Foster stepped forward and removed his helmet. The atmosphere was breathable, as the Kithra had promised. Elder Zexai, I am Captain Ryan Foster. On behalf of humanity, we are honored to meet you. Elder Zexai approached slowly. The alien's voice was musical when translated through their communication devices. Captain Foster, your people have done something remarkable by coming here. In all our history, we have never encountered a species willing to risk so much for strangers. Claire Murphy stepped forward to handle the diplomatic aspects of first contact. She had spent months studying Kithra culture and language. Elder Zexai, we understand that time is critical. How can we best help your people? The elder led them into the underground city. The tunnels were wide and well lit, with carved walls that showed artistic depictions of Kithra history. They passed living areas, workshops, and communal spaces where hundreds of Kithra were going about their daily lives. We have prepared detailed evacuation plans, Elder Zexai explained as they walked. Our people are organized into family groups and essential work teams. We can have the first 300 ready to depart within 6 hours. Tony Vasquez was amazed by the technology they passed. The Kithra had maintained an advanced technological civilization despite living in hiding for decades. Your power systems are incredibly efficient. How do you keep everything running without being detected? A younger Kithra named Engineer Veltar answered. We use quantum energy collectors that draw power from stellar radiation. The energy signature is indistinguishable from natural cosmic background radiation. Sarah Collins was studying the underground city's layout. You said you have people scattered across 15 different locations. How do we coordinate evacuating everyone without alerting the hegemony? Elder Zexai led them to a command center where holographic displays showed the entire Vega system. Red dots marked the locations of all Kithra settlements. We have maintained quantum communication links between all our colonies. We can coordinate movements in real time. Captain Foster studied the tactical situation. They had less than a month to evacuate 12,000 people from 15 different locations across a solar system. Even with perfect coordination, it would be an enormous challenge. We need to improve our efficiency, Foster said. Can your technology help us carry more people or travel faster? Engineer Veltar smiled. We have been working on modifications to your ship since you entered our system. With your permission, we can upgrade your faster-than-light drive and increase your passenger capacity. The next 24 hours were a blur of activity. Kythera engineers worked alongside Tony Vasquez to modify the Aurora's systems. They installed quantum enhancers that increased the ship's speed by 40%. They also reconfigured the cargo bays to safely carry 500 passengers per trip instead of 300. Meanwhile, Sarah Collins coordinated with Kythera navigators to plan the most efficient evacuation routes. They would visit the smallest settlements first, gradually working their way to the larger colonies. This would reduce the risk of detection while ensuring that no one was left behind. The first evacuation run went smoothly. 300 Kythera boarded the Aurora, many of them carrying only small personal items. They had been living as refugees for so long that they owned very little. The journey to the nearest human outpost took only 6 days with the improved drive systems. But as they began the second evacuation run, their sensors detected something alarming. Long-range scanners picked up massive energy signatures entering the outer edge of the Vega system. Hegemony ships, Elder Zexai confirmed grimly. 3 battle cruisers and a dozen scout vessels. They are beginning a systematic search of the system. Captain Foster called an emergency meeting with his senior staff and the Kythera leaders. The situation had become much more dangerous. They had maybe 2 weeks before the hegemony reached the inner planets where most Kythera were hiding. We need to accelerate the evacuation schedule, Foster said. Can we take more people per trip? Engineer Veltar had been working on additional modifications. We can reconfigure your ship to carry up to 800 people, but it will be crowded and uncomfortable. Sarah Collins was studying the hegemony search patterns. They are being methodical. They scan each planet and moon completely before moving to the next one. If we can stay ahead of their search pattern, we might be able to evacuate everyone. Claire Murphy raised a concern that everyone was thinking. What happens when the hegemony reaches the colonies we have already evacuated? They will find evidence that people were living there recently. Elder Zexai had an answer. We have prepared for this possibility. Each colony has self-destruct systems that will cause controlled cave-ins. It will look like natural seismic activity destroyed our settlements. Tony Vasquez realized the implications. You are destroying your homes to hide evidence of our rescue mission. Our homes are just places, Elder Zexai replied. Our people are what matter. If destroying our settlements keeps the hegemony from learning about Earth, then that is what we must do. The evacuation continued at a frantic pace. The Aurora made 4 more trips, each time carrying 800 Kythera to safety. The ship's crew worked with minimal sleep, pushing themselves and their equipment to the limits. On the 6th evacuation run, they encountered their closest call with the hegemony. As the Aurora approached one of the smaller Kythera colonies, their sensors detected a hegemony scout ship less than 2 light minutes away. They are scanning this moon, Sarah Collins reported urgently. If they detect our energy signature, they will investigate. Captain Foster made a split-second decision. All stop. Power down to minimum life support. We wait for them to move on. For 3 hours, the Aurora drifted silently in space while the hegemony scout ship conducted its scan. The human crew and their Kythera passengers held their breath as the enemy vessel came within visual range. Finally, the scout ship moved on to scan the next planetary body. But the close encounter made everyone realize how dangerous their mission had become. We cannot continue like this, Claire Murphy said during their next planning session. Each trip takes longer because we have to avoid hegemony patrols. Engineer Veltar had been working on a solution. We can install quantum stealth generators on your ship. They will make you invisible to hegemony sensors, but the technology is experimental. Tony Vasquez studied the technical specifications. What are the risks? If the stealth system fails while you are near a hegemony ship, you will be detected and destroyed immediately, Veltar admitted. But without stealth, you will eventually be spotted anyway. Captain Foster did not hesitate. Install the stealth system. We did not come this far to give up now. The stealth technology worked perfectly. The Aurora became invisible to hegemony sensors, allowing them to move freely through the Vega system. They completed the evacuation of the smaller colonies without further incidents. But the largest Kithara settlement, where Elder Zexhai and 4,000 survivors were waiting, posed the greatest challenge. It was located on a moon that the hegemony would reach within days. "We can evacuate everyone in 5 trips," Sarah Collins calculated. "But we need at least 6 days to complete the operation." Captain Foster looked at the tactical display showing hegemony positions. They would arrive at the moon in 3 days. There was no way to evacuate everyone in time using conventional methods. "Then we do something unconventional," Foster decided. "We make multiple trips in the same day. The Aurora stays in the system, and we use shuttles to ferry people from the surface to the ship." It was dangerous. If the hegemony detected their activities, the Aurora would be trapped in the system with thousands of refugees on board. But it was their only chance to save everyone. Elder Zexhai agreed to the plan. "Captain Foster, your people continue to amaze us. You risk everything, again and again, to help us. We will not forget this." The final evacuation began just hours before the hegemony was scheduled to arrive at the moon. 6 shuttles worked continuously, ferrying Kithara from their underground city to the Aurora. The operation went smoothly until the very end. As the last shuttle prepared to depart with Elder Zexhai and the final group of survivors, their sensors detected hegemony ships approaching the moon. They had arrived 6 hours ahead of schedule. "Get everyone on board now," Captain Foster ordered. "We leave in 5 minutes." The last Kithara boarded the Aurora just as hegemony scout ships began scanning the moon's surface. As the Aurora engaged its stealth systems and faster-than-light drive, controlled explosions throughout the underground city caused massive cave-ins that buried all evidence of habitation. From the hegemony's perspective, they had found another dead moon with some recent seismic activity. They never suspected that 12,000 refugees had just escaped to safety, or that the primitive humans from a nearby system had mounted the most successful rescue operation in galactic history. The journey back to Earth took 2 months instead of 3, thanks to the improvements the Kithara had made to the Aurora's faster-than-light drive. During the long trip home, the human crew began to understand the true scope of what they had accomplished. The Aurora was now carrying 12,000 Kithara refugees, along with detailed information about galactic civilization that humanity had never imagined. Elder Zexhai spent hours each day talking with Captain Foster and his crew, sharing knowledge that would change everything about how humans understood their place in the universe. "The galaxy contains over 4 million intelligent species," Elder Zexhai explained during one of their conversations. "The hegemony controls about 3,000 star systems directly, but they influence thousands more through fear and threats." Dr. Amanda Clark, monitoring the mission from Earth, was amazed by the communications they were receiving from the Aurora. "You are saying that most intelligent species in the galaxy know about each other?" "Yes," Elder Zexhai replied through the quantum communication link. Before the hegemony's expansion, there was extensive trade and cultural exchange between species. The galaxy was much more connected than your isolated region. Claire Murphy had been studying the galactic maps that the Kithara provided. "Where does Earth fit in this larger picture?" Elder Zexhai's answer was both encouraging and sobering. "Your solar system is in what we call the outer frontier. It is far from the main galactic trade routes and major civilizations. That isolation protected you from the hegemony, but it also means that most species do not know you exist." Tony Vasquez was fascinated by the technical information the Kithara were sharing. "Your quantum communication technology could revolutionize how we explore space. Instead of sending messages that take years to travel between stars, we could have instant communication across any distance." Engineer Veltar had been working with Tony to document all the technology they were sharing with humanity. "We are giving you everything we know. Our energy systems, our propulsion technology, our defensive capabilities. With this knowledge, your species can advance by centuries in just a few years." But the most important revelation came when Elder Zexhai began sharing information about other refugee species hiding throughout the galaxy. "The Kithara are not the only survivors," Elder Zexhai explained. "There are dozens of species hiding from the hegemony in remote star systems. Some have been in hiding for hundreds of years." Sarah Collins was studying the coordinates that Elder Zexhai provided. "You are talking about potential allies scattered across thousands of light years." "Exactly," Elder Zexhai said. Before your rescue mission, these species had no way to coordinate or communicate with each other. They were isolated and afraid. But now, with your faster-than-light travel and our quantum communication technology, we could connect them. Captain Foster began to understand the larger implications. You are suggesting that we could build a network of refugee species. More than that, Elder Zexhai replied. We could rebuild the alliance that the hegemony destroyed. But this time, we would be prepared for their tactics. We would not be caught defenseless again. During the second month of their journey home, the Aurora received a message that changed everything. Dr. Amanda Clark's voice came through the quantum communicator with barely contained excitement. Captain Foster, we have detected another hidden signal. This one is coming from the Alpha Centauri system. Amanda explained that she had been using the quantum detection techniques learned from decoding the Kithra message to search for other hidden communications. The new signal was fainter and more carefully concealed, but it followed similar patterns. The signal appears to be from a species calling themselves the Nexari, Amanda reported. They are using even more advanced hiding techniques than the Kithra. We probably would never have found them if we had not learned how to look for quantum-encrypted messages. Elder Zexhai was amazed when he heard about the Nexari signal. The Nexari were master engineers before the hegemony attacked their homeworld. If they survived, they possessed technology that could be invaluable to our alliance. Lisa Rodriguez had been working around the clock to decode the Nexari message. The basic content is similar to the Kithra distress call. They are hiding from the hegemony and asking for help. But there are only about 2,000 survivors, and they are in immediate danger. Captain Foster made his decision quickly. After we deliver the Kithra to Earth, the Aurora will mount a second rescue mission to Alpha Centauri. But Elder Zexhai had a different suggestion. Captain Foster, with the technology upgrades we have given you, your ship is now capable of much more than rescue missions. You could become the coordinator for a galaxy-wide resistance network. The idea was staggering. Humanity had gone from being an isolated species to potentially becoming the center of a galactic alliance in just a few months. Dr. Nathan Brooks, participating in the conversation from Earth, raised an important concern. Elder Zexhai, if we become the coordinator for this resistance network, we will definitely attract the hegemony's attention. Earth will become a target. Elder Zexhai's response was both honest and reassuring. Dr. Brooks, Earth is already a target. The hegemony scouts have visited your system. When your technology advances enough to pose a threat, they will return. Your choice is not whether to face the hegemony, but whether to face them alone or with allies. President Warren, who had been monitoring the conversations, made a statement that would define humanity's future role in the galaxy. Captain Foster, Elder Zexhai, we accept the responsibility of coordinating the resistance network. Humanity will not stand by while species are destroyed by tyranny. We will use our technology and our determination to help anyone who needs rescue. The President's declaration was transmitted throughout the galaxy using the Kithra's quantum communication network. Within days, they began receiving responses from hidden refugee species across thousands of star systems. The Zephyrians from the Tau Ceti system had been hiding for over a century. They possessed advanced medical technology that could cure diseases humanity had never learned to treat. The Valorians from Wolf 359 were survivors of a warrior culture who had refused to submit to the hegemony. They had detailed intelligence about hegemony military tactics and weaknesses. The Etherians from Barnard's Star were masters of energy manipulation who could teach humanity to build weapons that could actually damage hegemony ships. Each species brought unique capabilities and knowledge. Together, they represented the foundation of an alliance that could challenge the hegemony's dominance. But the most surprising response came from the Kepler 442 system. A species called the Guardians revealed that they had been secretly sabotaging hegemony operations for decades. They had been waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves and begin coordinating active resistance. The galaxy is ready for rebellion, the Guardian representative transmitted. Species across the stars have been waiting for someone to take the first step. Your rescue of the Kithra has given them hope that the hegemony can be defeated. As the Aurora approached Earth's solar system, Captain Foster looked at his crew and the thousands of Kithra refugees they were bringing home. When they had started this mission, they thought they were just rescuing one species from destruction. Instead, they had lit a spark that was spreading across the galaxy. Humanity had become the symbol of hope for countless species who had been living in fear. The rescue mission had become the beginning of a galactic revolution. Elder Zexhai joined Captain Foster on the Aurora's bridge as Earth came into view. "Captain, your species has done something remarkable. You have united the galaxy against tyranny simply by showing that compassion is stronger than fear." Foster looked at the blue planet that was humanity's home. Soon, it would also be home to 12,000 Kithra refugees. And from Earth, they would coordinate the liberation of an entire galaxy. "Elder Zexhai," Foster said quietly, "I think this is just the beginning." The Aurora entered Earth's orbit carrying not just refugees, but the future of galactic civilization. Humanity had answered one call for help, and in doing so, they had become the leaders of a movement that would change the galaxy forever. Amanda explained that she had been using the quantum detection techniques learned from decoding the Kithra message to search for other hidden communications. The new signal was fainter and more carefully concealed, but it followed similar patterns. "The signal appears to be from a species calling themselves the Nexari," Amanda reported. "They are using even more advanced hiding techniques than the Kithra. We probably would never have found them if we had not learned how to look for quantum-encrypted messages." Elder Zexhai was amazed when he heard about the Nexari signal. The Nexari were master engineers before the hegemony attacked their homeworld. If they survived, they possessed technology that could be invaluable to our alliance. Lisa Rodriguez had been working around the clock to decode the Nexari message. The basic content is similar to the Kithra distress call. They are hiding from the hegemony and asking for help. But there are only about 2,000 survivors, and they are in immediate danger. Captain Foster made his decision quickly. "After we deliver the Kithra to Earth, the Aurora will mount a second rescue mission to Alpha Centauri." But Elder Zexhai had a different suggestion. "Captain Foster, with the technology upgrades we have given you, your ship is now capable of much more than rescue missions. You could become the coordinator for a galaxy-wide resistance network." The idea was staggering. Humanity had gone from being an isolated species to potentially becoming the center of a galactic alliance in just a few months. Dr. Nathan Brooks, participating in the conversation from Earth, raised an important concern. "Elder Zexhai, if we become the coordinator for this resistance network, we will definitely attract the hegemony's attention. Earth will become a target." Elder Zexhai's response was both honest and reassuring. "Dr. Brooks, Earth is already a target. The hegemony scouts have visited your system. When your technology advances enough to pose a threat, they will return. Your choice is not whether to face the hegemony, but whether to face them alone or with allies." President Warren, who had been monitoring the conversations, made a statement that would define humanity's future role in the galaxy. "Captain Foster, Elder Zexhai, we accept the responsibility of coordinating the resistance network. Humanity will not stand by while species are destroyed by tyranny. We will use our technology and our determination to help anyone who needs rescue." The President's declaration was transmitted throughout the galaxy using the Kithra's quantum communication network. Within days, they began receiving responses from hidden refugee species across thousands of star systems. The Zephyrians from the Tau Ceti system had been hiding for over a century. They possessed advanced medical technology that could cure diseases humanity had never learned to treat. The Valorians from Wolf 359 were survivors of a warrior culture who had refused to submit to the hegemony. They had detailed intelligence about hegemony military tactics and weaknesses. The Etherians from Barnard Star were masters of energy manipulation who could teach humanity to build weapons that could actually damage hegemony ships. Each species brought unique capabilities and knowledge. Together, they represented the foundation of an alliance that could challenge the hegemony's dominance. But the most surprising response came from the Kepler 442 system. A species called the Guardians revealed that they had been secretly sabotaging hegemony operations for decades. They had been waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves and begin coordinating active resistance. "The galaxy is ready for rebellion," the Guardian representative transmitted. "Species across the stars have been waiting for someone to take the first step. Your rescue of the Kithra has given them hope that the hegemony can be defeated." As the Aurora approached Earth's solar system, Captain Foster looked at his crew and the thousands of Kithra refugees they were bringing home. When they had started this mission, they thought they were just rescuing one species from destruction. Instead, they had lit a spark that was spreading across the galaxy. Humanity had become the symbol of hope for countless species who had been living in fear. The rescue mission had become the beginning of a galactic revolution. Elder Zexhai joined Captain Foster on the Aurora's bridge as Earth came into view. "Captain, your species has done something remarkable. You have united the galaxy against tyranny simply by showing that compassion is stronger than fear." Foster looked at the blue planet that was humanity's home. Soon, it would also be home to 12,000 Kithra refugees. And from Earth, they would coordinate the liberation of an entire galaxy. "Elder Zexhai," Foster said quietly, "I think this is just the beginning." The Aurora entered Earth's orbit carrying not just refugees, but the future of galactic civilization. Humanity had answered one call for help, and in doing so, they had become the leaders of a movement that would change the galaxy forever. The Aurora's return to Earth was unlike anything in human history. For the first time, humanity was welcoming refugees from another world. The ship landed at the same secret facility in Nevada where it had launched 6 months earlier, but now the entire world was watching. President Warren was there to greet the Kithra personally. As Elder Zexhai emerged from the ship, she stepped forward and spoke words that would be remembered forever. "Elder Zexhai, on behalf of humanity, welcome to Earth. Your people are no longer refugees. You are our partners, our allies, and our friends." The integration of 12,000 Kithra into human society presented enormous challenges, but also incredible opportunities. The aliens were settled in specially constructed communities near major universities and research centers. They brought with them knowledge and technology that revolutionized human science almost overnight. Dr. Amanda Clark found herself working alongside Kithra scientists to establish the galaxy's most advanced communication network. Using quantum entanglement principles that the Kithra had perfected, they could now send messages instantly to any point in the galaxy. "We are receiving signals from over 50 different species," Amanda reported during a briefing with world leaders. "The resistance network is growing faster than we ever imagined." Tony Vasquez was leading a joint human-Kithra engineering team that was revolutionizing spacecraft design. By combining human innovation with Kithra technology, they were building ships that were faster, more efficient, and more powerful than anything either species could create alone. "The new Aurora-class ships can travel between star systems in days instead of months," Tony explained. "We can reach any species that needs help and evacuate them before the hegemony can respond." The medical advances were equally remarkable. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, working with Kithra healers, had already developed treatments for cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and dozens of other conditions that had plagued humanity for centuries. "The Kithra understand biology at a quantum level," Dr. Walsh explained. "They can manipulate cellular processes with precision we never thought possible." But the most significant development was the expansion of the resistance network. Captain Foster, now commanding a fleet of 6 Aurora-class ships, had completed successful rescue missions to 12 different star systems. Each mission brought new allies with unique capabilities. The Nexari from Alpha Centauri turned out to be master engineers who could build ships and weapons that were nearly indestructible. The Zephyrians brought medical technology that could heal wounds instantly and extend lifespans by centuries. The Valorians shared military tactics and strategies that made the resistance much more effective in combat. Elder Zexhai had established a council chamber in the United Nations building where representatives from all the rescued species could meet. The chamber used holographic technology to allow participants from across the galaxy to attend meetings in real time. "We now have 47 species in our alliance," Elder Zexhai reported during one council session. "Together, we represent over 2 million survivors who are ready to fight for freedom." The hegemony had begun to notice that their expansion was meeting unexpected resistance. Refugee species that had been hiding for centuries were suddenly disappearing from their traditional hiding places. Hegemony search missions were finding empty settlements and cold trails. Commander Thexvor of the Hegemony Third Fleet submitted a report to his superiors that would have amused the resistance leaders if they had seen it. "The refugee species appear to have developed some kind of evacuation network," the report stated. They are relocating faster than our forces can track them. Recommend increasing search patrols and expanding surveillance operations. The hegemony's response was predictable. They increased their military presence in frontier regions and began conducting more aggressive searches. But they were looking for refugees who were no longer hiding in fear. The resistance network had grown strong enough to fight back. The first major victory came when Captain Foster's fleet intercepted a hegemony attack on the Kepler-186 system. 3 Aurora-class ships, working with Guardian saboteurs and Valerian tactical advisors, destroyed an entire hegemony squadron without losing a single vessel. The key was coordination, Captain Foster explained in his after-action report. The Guardians disabled the enemy ship's communications, the Valorians provided tactical intelligence, and our ships delivered precise strikes. The hegemony never knew what hit them. News of the victory spread throughout the galaxy faster than the hegemony could suppress it. Species that had been too afraid to join the resistance began reaching out to the network. The rebellion was becoming a revolution. But success brought new challenges. The hegemony began focusing their attention on finding the source of the resistance network. Their intelligence analysts correctly identified that the coordination was coming from somewhere in the outer frontier regions. They are searching for us systematically, General Hayes warned during a security briefing. Our quantum communications are secure, but if they find Earth, we will face the full might of the hegemony military. President Warren had been preparing for this possibility since the first rescue mission. How long until our planetary defenses are ready? General Hayes consulted her reports. The orbital defense platforms will be operational within 3 months. The planetary shield generators are already online. If the hegemony attacks Earth, they will face the most advanced defensive system in the galaxy. The defensive preparations combined human engineering with technology from dozens of allied species. Nexary armor protected the defense platforms. Etherian energy weapons could damage even hegemony battle cruisers. Zephyrian medical stations could heal wounded defenders instantly. 6 months after the Aurora's return, Amanda Clark was monitoring communications when she detected something that made her heart race. A massive hegemony fleet was approaching the solar system. 12 battle cruisers, 36 destroyers, and over 100 scout ships, she reported to President Warren. This is not a reconnaissance mission. This is an invasion fleet. The president immediately activated the planetary defense system and sent an alert to the entire resistance network. Within hours, allied ships from across the galaxy were converging on Earth. The Battle of Earth lasted 3 days and became the turning point of the Galactic War. The hegemony expected to find a primitive world with minimal defenses. Instead, they faced a coordinated defense involving 47 allied species and weapons technology they had never encountered before. Captain Foster commanded the space battle from the bridge of the new flagship Aurora Prime. Beside him stood Elder Zexhai, representing the unity of the Galactic Alliance. Hegemony Fleet, this is Captain Foster of the Earth Defense Force, he transmitted on all frequencies. You are entering the territory of the Galactic Freedom Alliance. Turn back now, or face the consequences. The hegemony commander's response was predictable. Primitive species, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. The battle that followed demonstrated why the hegemony had ruled the galaxy for so long, and why their reign was finally ending. Their ships were massive and heavily armed, but they were not prepared for coordinated tactics from dozens of species working together. Valerian fighters disrupted hegemony formations. Nexary bombers punched through enemy shields. Etherian energy beams disabled enemy weapons. Guardian saboteurs turned hegemony ships against each other. And human ships, upgraded with the best technology from all their allies, struck with precision that the enemy could not match. When the battle ended, the hegemony invasion fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single enemy ship escaped to report back to their commanders. Elder Zexhai stood beside President Warren as they watched the wreckage of hegemony ships burning in Earth's orbit. Madam President, your species has accomplished something that we thought was impossible. You have proven that the hegemony can be defeated. The victory at Earth inspired rebellions throughout the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for centuries rose up against their oppressors. The resistance network provided them with weapons, tactics, and coordination. Within 2 years, the hegemony's empire began to collapse. The final battle of the war took place at the hegemony capital world, where a combined fleet of over 10,000 ships from 300 allied species laid siege to the Empire's last stronghold. Captain Foster commanded one battle group, but the overall operation was led by representatives from all the major allied species. When the hegemony finally surrendered, they faced the same choice they had given to countless other species: submit completely or be destroyed. The Alliance chose mercy over revenge. The hegemony leaders were imprisoned, but their people were allowed to live in peace under Alliance supervision. Elder Zexai addressed the galaxy-wide celebration that marked the end of the war. Today, we have achieved something that our ancestors could only dream of. The galaxy is free. No species will ever again face the choice between slavery and extinction. But the Elder's final words were directed specifically at humanity. We owe this victory to a species that heard our call for help when no one else would answer. Humanity showed us that compassion is not weakness, but the greatest strength in the universe. Amanda Clark, now director of the Galactic Communication Network, received dozens of signals every day from species across the galaxy. But the most meaningful message came from a small research station on the edge of explored space. Dr. Clark, this is Explorer Station 7. We have detected signs of intelligent life in the Andromeda Galaxy. They appear to be trying to communicate. Should we answer? Amanda smiled as she prepared her response. Humanity had learned that the universe was vast and full of wonders, but also that no species should face the darkness alone. Explorer Station 7, this is Earth Control. Yes, answer their call. And let them know that if they need help, they have friends among the stars. The galaxy had been transformed by a simple act of kindness. Humanity had heard a cry for help and chosen to respond. In doing so, they had discovered that their greatest strength was not their technology or their weapons, but their willingness to risk everything for strangers. And throughout the cosmos, that lesson was being learned by new civilizations every day. The universe was vast and sometimes dangerous, but no one had to face it alone.